On your left.
What's going on, my Ibmore brothers? Back again. And this is something I've been thinking about since my last video, the review of Insecure, episode 1 of season 5. And in that I touched on the 4 personalities in the Fae group and how they match up. And the feedback I've been getting we're saying that, this is pretty close to being accurate. But I had to thinking about one personality we haven't really talked about as far as being a 92, especially on Insecure, which is Kelli. Now, I've heard people call Kelli an 87, an 89, 92, whatever. No, people can't figure out Kelli. It's because who Kelli mates with is not people in her class. Now, seeing Kelli in where she graduated from, which is Stanford, and her job title, not title, but we don't exactly know what a job title is, but I do believe Kelli's an accountant. In fact, I'm sure she's an accountant. So Kelli's an accountant, and she's got several people under her. So that means that Kelli is really a 92. She's a white-collar worker. She's got her own house. She's not married, that kind of stuff. So Kelli is really a 92. But the thing is that when you see her mannerisms and stuff like that, she doesn't appear to be one. Outside of her professional status, she doesn't appear to be one. And the last episode got me to realize that the reason that Kelli acts out of character in that class is because she's invisible to men in her class for the most part. I'm not saying all of them, but for the most part, Kelli's invisible to the men in her class. So Kelli has to date down. And while she might not be happy about it, she does it out of necessity. And she's probably really gotten used to it because of the experience she had in college, where most of the guys in college she was actually invisible to. Now, in a closed atmosphere like college campus, it's a little easier because the guys are broke and they can't get around. So basically the competition is not as heavy. Well, out in the real world, when those guys leave, those guys basically find women in their own class, more acceptable women in their own class. But since Kelli is heavy and chubby, and she's not doesn't have the ideal look for a woman in her class, she's got to date down. She's got to find a mate that's less than her level, the level of wealth or level of education. And throughout the whole series, you can see Kelli dating down. She dates 87 guys. She dates working class guys. Sometimes even an 85. Believe it or not, her and Issa's dating pattern is pretty similar, even though she can't stand Daniel. But Daniel is more of an 87, but he's more of an alpha concubine that has a little bit more swag. Daniel's trying to go from an 87 to 100 octane. Well, he has 100 octane dreams, but Kelli doesn't qualify. So most of the guys you see Kelli date are actually working class guys with a little street swag. So talking to Ram and Cousin Tita, I'm officially calling Kelli the Invisible 92. And Invisible 92s do exactly that. They date down. And they complain about dating down. They always complain about their dating choices. And at some point, they're going to have to bite the bullet and find a mate to marry. And these are most likely the kind of women that try to do what I call a build-a-boo or build a 92. These are the women that will accept a guy making $30,000, $40,000 with the caveat that they think that they can build upon a structure. So they'll take a guy that's maybe not as educated, maybe not as ambitious, with a lower earning job, and they think they can coerce this guy and pull this guy up to their level. In other words, they can't get the guy that they want naturally that's at a 92 level, but they think they can make one. And normally this is where the strife comes in, because most of the guys, especially when you get to your late 20s, early 30s, you can see whether that guy is going to be a 92 or not, for the most part. I'm not saying every guy, but for the most part, you can see whether the guy has the ambition and drive to be a 92 octane. or the corporate guy, that six-figure guy. But invisible 92s know that they can't get one, and this is their best chance of making one, is to take a guy that's looks the way they want to look, which is strange because most of the invisible 92s pick guys that are attractive. They'll pick a lesser guy that's attractive because no Lord knows they can't get a guy that's attractive at their level. That's a 92. Guy that's attractive, that's a 92 at their level is probably going to be closer to the masters of the universe. And those guys don't even see them. Those guys treat them as basically as men, as colleagues. So to be seen, because women don't like to be invisible, like to be seen. To be seen, they can be a little obnoxious sometimes. They can tell bawdy jokes. They try to keep their attention on them because they have, I have to say one thing about invisible 92s, they have a mouthpiece. They can talk, they can tell jokes, they got a personality, they know how, they can keep a conversation going. Because if they don't, then they won't be noticed. And they're always like they get in the party, Kelli always kept people laughing. I said in the episode, the first thing they say, Kelli was always good for a laugh. So that means they have to be entertaining, which is attractive to a lot of guys. But for men at that level, looks are important. Looks are very important. If you don't qualify, you don't qualify. And Kelli does not qualify for guys at that level as far as looks is concerned. But she does qualify for an 87 who will accept her. And they'll have a good time. They'll be good people who have a good time. She's got a good, warm personality, except that particular guy will not really be accepted in her Fae group, in her 92 Fae group. He's not educated. So that's why they're constantly trying to push guys like that. And that's the biggest frustration that these women have. Not that the guy's not a nice guy. Not that the guy is not good looking. Their problem is he doesn't have the ambition and discipline of a professional. And he doesn't have the drive or the awareness of a professional. Doesn't have the accoutrements of people at that class level, nor does he want to attain them. And that's where the frustration comes in. And that's where you see a woman that will date a guy or even marry a guy for 5-6 years, have a couple of kids, and then leave him. And you ask him, why did you leave? Well, he wasn't working out, or he wasn't ambitious enough, or he was stuck. And most of those women that I've observed are what I call invisible 92s. Now, there are climbers that go through the same thing, but it's not as likely. Most of the women that get stuck like that say things like that are mostly very well educated, mid to high earners. And you ask them what's wrong, and they said it didn't work out. That means, okay, I tried to push him. I tried to make him into something he didn't want to be. And they try to make him look bad. He's not, nothing was wrong. He's just a regular guy. All he wanted to be was a regular guy. The thing is that she wanted him to be something else. And I've heard that many, many, many times. In fact, I don't know what it is about COVID. As we see a lot of women into this space, it might be Kevin Sanders, a lot of women into this space complaining about them getting regular guys and not being able to push them to a higher level. And normally those women are what I call invisible 92s. But that's just a thought. Cousin Tita and Ram, tell me what you think. Is this a viable addition? Have you seen this? And I know I've seen it. I see it constantly. I've seen it in my real life, and I've also seen this online, and from women for the most part, not from guys, from women for the most part. But tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm full of shit, or tell me if this is intriguing. But with that, I'm going to jump off here. This is BGS out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.